Hello and welcome to MBKM Models. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. The Boulton Paul Defiant is a British interceptor aircraft that served with the Royal Air Force, RAF, during World War II. The Defiant was designed and built by Boulton Paul Aircraft as a turret fighter, without any fixed forward-firing guns, also found in the Blackburn Roc of the Royal Navy. In combat, the Defiant was found to be effective at destroying bombers, the role it was designed for, but was vulnerable to the Luftwaffe's more manoeuvrable, single-seat Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighters. The Defiant had been designed to destroy unescorted bombers by means of beam or ventral attacks and therefore lacked forward-firing armament, that proved to be a great weakness in daylight combat with fighters. It did, however, find success when it was converted to a night fighter. It eventually equipped 13 squadrons in this role, compared to just 2 squadrons as a day fighter, though this was mainly due to slow initial production. In mid-1942 it was replaced by better performing night fighters, the Bristol Beaufighter and the Havilland Mosquito. The Defiant continued to find use in gunnery training, target towing, electronic countermeasures and air-sea rescue. Among RAF pilots it had the nickname Daffy. During the 1930s, the increasing speed of military aircraft posed a particular challenge to anti-aircraft defenses. Advances in aircraft design achieved during the 1920s and 1930s had resulted in a generation of multi-engined monoplane bombers that were substantially faster than their contemporary single-engine biplane fighters then in service. The RAF came to believe that its new generation of turret-armed bombers, such as the Vickers Wellington, would be capable of readily penetrating enemy airspace and of defending themselves without any accompanying fighter escort, but also recognized that the bombers of other European air forces, such as the Luftwaffe, would similarly be able to penetrate British airspace with impunity. Defiance of No. 264 Squadron in 1940. During 1935, the concept of a turret-armed defensive fighter to counter the bomber threat emerged during a time in which the RAF anticipated having to defend Great Britain against massed formations of unescorted enemy bombers. The RAF did not expect bombers to be escorted by fighters because fighters would not have the range to reach the UK from Germany. In theory, turret-armed fighters would approach an enemy bomber from below or from the side and coordinate their fire. The separation of the tasks of flying the aircraft and firing the guns would allow the pilot to concentrate on putting the fighter into the best position for the gunner to engage the enemy. However, manually traversed turrets were viewed as having becoming more problematic and increasingly inadequate to effectively respond to ever faster hostile aircraft. Thus there was considerable interest in using a power-augmented turret. The earlier Hawker Demon biplane had tested the concept with 59 of the fighters, which had been manufactured by Boulton Paul under a subcontract, having been equipped with a hydraulically powered rear turret, while a number of aircraft already built were also converted as such. Boulton Paul and its managing director John Dudley North had gained considerable experience with defensive turrets from producing several earlier aircraft, including the Boulton Paul Overstrand bomber, and had devised a 4-gun power-operated turret, the concept and development work of which would later be a core part of the Defiant design. In April 1935, the Air Ministry released Specification F.935, which required a 2-seater day and night turret fighter capable of 290 miles per hour, 470 kilometers per hour, at 15,000 feet. 4,600 meters. The aircraft was to feature a clean design, concentrating its armament within a power-operated turret, and the accepted performance was to be only slightly beneath that of other emergent fighter designs of the period, along with a sufficient fuel capacity to allow it to perform standing patrols. In particular, the powered turret was to offer considerable flexibility, possessing both a 360-degree upper hemisphere field of fire and the ability to engage enemy bombers from a range of quarters, including below the aircraft itself. Specification F.935 had followed the earlier Specification F.533, which had sought a pusher design combined with a forward-set turret F.533 had been unceremoniously abandoned as the proposals had offered little in terms of performance gains over existing fighters, and the corresponding Armstrong-Whitworth OR.34 design which had been ordered was not completed. In October 1939, No. 264, Madras Presidency, Squadron was reformed at Traf Sutton Bridge to operate the Defiant. Initial training, formal squadron acceptance, and development of tactics began with other aircraft as it received its first Defiants only in early December at Martlesham Heath. In February 1940, the Defiant commenced night fighter training operations. The squadron tested its tactics against British medium bombers A. Hamptons and Blenheims A, and 264's CO flew against Robert Stanford Tuck in a Spitfire, showing that the Defiant could defend itself by circling and keeping its speed up. It became clear during these trials that the Defiant was suited only to performing its designed for bomber-destroyer duties and was vulnerable to fighters. By March 1940, 264 Squadron had 2 flights operational with Defiants, and No. 141 Squadron received its first Defiant. When the Defiant was first introduced to the public, the RAF put out a disinformation campaign, stating that the Defiant had 21 guns, 4 in the turret, 14 in the wings and 3 cannon in the nose. On the 12th of May 1940, the first operational sortie occurred as a flight of 6 Defiants flew with 6 Spitfires of 66 Squadron over the English Channel to the coastline in the vicinity of The Hague, Netherlands. During this flight, a single U-88, which had been in the process of attacking a destroyer, was shot down. The following day, in a patrol that was a repetition of the first, Defiants claimed 4 Junkers U-87 Stuka dive bombers, but were subsequently attacked by a flight of Bf-109s. The escorting Spitfires were unable to prevent 5 of the 6 Defiants from being shot down by a frontal attack. During the evacuation of the British Expeditionary Force from Dunkirk, the squadron was based at Traf Manston, as one of the 16 squadrons that No. 11 Group had for the evacuation. On 27 May 264 Squadron claimed 3 He-111 and 2 damaged. On the 28th of May, shortly after takeoff, 10 Defiants were attacked by about 30 Bf-109s A, forming a circle. They claimed 6 German fighters for the loss of 3 Defiants. The Defiant was initially successful against enemy aircraft, and its best day was the 29th of May, when No. 264 Squadron claimed 37 kills in 2 sorties, 19 U-87 Stukas, mostly picked off as they came out of their dives, 9 Messerschmitt Bf-110 twin-engined heavy fighters, 8 Bf-109s, and a U-88. 1 Defiant gunner was lost after he bailed out, but the pilot managed to fly the aircraft back to its base and it was subsequently repaired. On the 31st of May, 7 Defiants were lost in one day as Hurricanes and Spitfires failed to come to their aid in a battle with Bf-109s. It was concluded that underslung radio aerials on the Defiants had affected radio communication between the fighter squadrons. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and until next time.